Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm so glad you're here today. We're going to talk about something that a lot of you might already have sitting in your kitchen cabinet. You've probably been treating it like just another cheap tea, the kind you grab when you want something warm, toss a spoonful in hot water and don't really think twice about. But here's the thing, in traditional herbal medicine, this little seed has a really impressive reputation. It's been valued for centuries, and honestly, it deserves a lot more attention than it usually gets. I'm talking about cassia seeds. You might also hear them called Jumingzi if you've ever visited an herbalist or browsed the tea aisle at an Asian market. Now, before you ask, no, this is not a snack for movie night. It's not popcorn, it's not roasted nuts, and it's definitely not something you'd munch on while binge watching your favorite show. This is actually a pretty serious herbal ingredient. It's been documented in classic medical texts that go back thousands of years. I'm talking about the Shen Nong Ben Cao Jing, which is basically the grandfather of all herbal medicine records. And in that text, cassia seeds are listed as a legitimate medicinal ingredient with real practical uses. So, what can it do? A lot. Actually, it's known for supporting eye health, promoting healthy digestion, and helping to cool down that internal heat that so many of us carry around after a long week of stress, poor sleep, and too much caffeine. If you're someone who spends hours in front of screens, and let's be honest, most of us are, this is one of those gentle, everyday supporters that might actually make a difference. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. You've probably seen cassia seeds before. Maybe you've sat on a chair at a massage parlor and felt those little hard beads inside the cushion, or maybe you've had a neck pillow that had them as filling, and you're thinking, wait, those little rocks are the same thing you're telling me to drink. Yes, exactly those. A lot of wellness pillows and massage cushions use cassia seeds as filling because they have this naturally cooling property. They're supposed to help soothe your neck and keep your head feeling clear. And honestly, that's a nice little bonus, but that's really just a small everyday use. The real power of cassia seeds, the reason they've been valued by doctors and herbalists for generations is their ability to support your liver and through that, your eyes. Let me explain that in plain terms. In traditional medicine, there's this very important concept. The liver opens into the eyes. What that means is that the health of your liver directly affects the health of your eyes. They're connected. If your liver is overwhelmed, stressed, or out of balance, your eyes are going to show it. And if your liver is well supported, your eyes are going to reflect that too. Think about your own experience for a second. Have you ever stayed up way too late? Maybe you were binge watching a show, or scrolling through social media, or working on a deadline. And the next morning, your eyes felt gritty, red, and just tired, like no amount of blinking or rubbing would fix it, and you looked in the mirror and you just didn't look like yourself. That's a classic example in traditional terms. That's what we call liver fire. And it's not just a young person's problem. I see it in my patients every single week. You've got people in their 30s, 40s, 50s. They spend 8 hours at work staring at a computer screen. Then they commute home and they're on their phone the whole time. Then they get home and they're scrolling through social media or watching videos until they go to bed. And then when they finally try to fall asleep, their brain is still spinning, still processing, still running like it's the middle of the day. The next morning, they drag themselves out of bed. They show up with dark circles under their eyes, and they tell me, Doc, I don't know why I am so tired. I slept 8 hours, but the quality of that sleep was terrible because their system never really calmed down. So, is that just eye fatigue? Yes, on the surface. But if you dig a little deeper, the root of that problem is often your liver feeling overworked. And when your liver is overworked, your eyes pay the price. That's why I tell my patients all the time, if your eyes are bothering you, don't immediately rush out to the pharmacy and spend $20, $30 on the most expensive eye drops you can find. I'm not saying eye drops are bad. They can give you temporary relief, and sometimes that's exactly what you need, but they're not fixing the underlying issue. They're just putting a band-aid on it. Instead, let's think about supporting your liver because the nourishment that your eyes need comes from your liver's energy and blood supply. There's another old saying that goes, when the liver receives blood, the eyes can see. If your liver is running low on resources because you're stressed, sleep deprived, and eating poorly, your eyes are going to be the first thing to complain. Blurriness, dryness, light sensitivity, redness, all of that can trace back to your liver not having what it needs. That's where cassia seeds come in. They're a very gentle, effective supporter for exactly this kind of issue. Not a miracle cure, not a magic pill, but a really helpful tool to have in your wellness toolkit. Now, before I tell you how to brew it and drink it, I need to make something very clear. Cassia seeds are great at clearing. They help your body get rid of excess heat, excess grime, and excess buildup. They're like a gentle broom that sweeps out the corners, but they don't build you up. They don't add energy or nourishment. They just clear things out so your system can function better. Let me put it this way. If you're someone who already runs on the cooler, weaker side, the kind of person who's always cold, always tired, always has a sensitive stomach, and you start chugging cassia seed tea like it's water, you're going to run into trouble. It's not going to make you feel better. You might actually feel worse, more tired, more cold, and instead of clearer eyes. Your main destination is going to be the bathroom, and not in a good way. This is the golden rule in traditional medicine, and honestly, it applies to a lot of things in modern health too. There is no one size fits all approach. What works for your friend, your neighbor, or that influencer you follow online might not work for you. Your body is unique, your stress levels, your diet, your sleep patterns, your genetics, all of that matters. So please don't just copy what someone else is doing. Think about your own body. Listen to what it's telling you. Let me give you a real example from my practice. I had this young guy come in with his mom. He was about 20 years old, maybe 21. He was really into online gaming, like staying up until 3 or 4 in the morning, kind of gaming. His mom was worried, and when she brought him in, I could see why his eyes were bright red. Not just a little pink, but really, truly red with lots of visible blood vessels. She was panicking, asking me if he was going to damage his eyes permanently. I took a look at his tongue, which is something we do in traditional assessment, and it was very red. I checked his pulse, and it was fast and tight. That's a classic picture of liver fire. So I told him, listen, if you keep this up, the only thing that's going to shut down is your eyes, not the video game boss. He laughed, but he got the point. I gave him a very simple recommendation: a tea blend with cassia seeds, some dried chrysanthemum flowers, and a little bit of goji berries. I told him to brew it like tea and drink it during the day. I also told him to try to get to bed just 1 hour earlier. Nothing drastic, just 1 hour. 3 days later, he came back. The redness in his eyes was completely gone. He was actually excited. He told me, Doc, I went back to my game, and my teammates said I looked way more focused and sharp. That was his way of saying his eyes felt better, and he felt more clear-headed. That's the power of addressing the root cause. Cool the liver, and the eyes follow. It's that simple and it's that profound. Now, let's compare that to how we often approach eye problems in Western medicine. If you go to a conventional doctor with red, dry, irritated eyes, what's the first thing they're going to do? They're going to recommend lubricating eye drops, maybe an antihistamine drop, or in some cases, a steroid drop if there's inflammation, and those can absolutely help. They provide temporary relief. But unless you deal with the underlying stress on your liver, those symptoms are going to keep coming back. I'm not saying one approach is better than the other. I'm saying they complement each other. Eye drops can help you feel better in the moment. Cassia seeds can help you stay better in the long run. Think of it like a leaky roof. If your ceiling is dripping, you can put a bucket under it and mop up the water every day. That's like using eye drops. But the real fix is to go up on the roof, find the hole, and patch it. Cassia seeds are like the hammer that helps you patch that roof. They're not the whole solution, but they're a really useful tool. Now, here's a question I get all the time when I talk about this. People will say, Doc, I brewed some cassia seed tea and it tasted a little bit salty. Is that normal?
Yes.
And that's actually a great observation, that saltiness is telling you something important. In traditional medicine, there's this concept of 5 flavors matching 5 organ systems. Sour goes to the liver, bitter goes to the heart, sweet goes to the spleen and stomach, spicy goes to the lungs, and salty goes to the kidneys. Cassia seeds are naturally salty, so they work on the kidney system, but they also cool the liver. So what are they really doing? They're acting as a bridge between your liver and your kidneys. And in traditional theory, the liver and kidneys have a very close relationship. They support each other. When they're in harmony, your body's energy flows smoothly. When they're out of sync, you can have problems like high blood pressure, poor sleep, fatigue, and yes, eye issues. By drinking cassia seed tea, you're helping calm the liver fire while also supporting the kidneys' moisture. It's a balancing act, and that balance is really important for modern life because so many of us are running on high stress, high caffeine, and low sleep. We're constantly in that fight or flight mode, and it shows up in our eyes, our digestion, and our mood. Now, I have to joke about something here. Every once in a while, I'll have a patient who gets really excited about cassia seeds. They hear good for eyes and they go all in. They buy a huge bag and they start brewing massive pots of it every day. They're drinking it like water, thinking that if a little is good, a lot is better. And then they come back to my office with a completely different problem. Their stomach is a mess. They're making trips to the bathroom way too often. And they say, Doc, I thought this was supposed to make me feel better. That's the classic too much of a good thing scenario. Cassia seeds are gentle, but they're still active. They have a mild laxative effect, and if you overdo it, your intestines are going to let you know. So please don't turn this into an all-day drinking contest with yourself. A reasonable amount is about 6 to 10 grams per Dalton Y. That's about a small handful, like what you could hold in your cup palm. Steep it in hot water like you would any tea and enjoy it once or twice a day. Treat it as a pleasant beverage, not a medication. That's the sweet spot. Now, here's another myth I want to address. Some people assume that blurry vision or dry eyes are just signs of aging. They say, well, I'm in my 40s, so I guess my eyes are just getting old. But that's not always the case. I see patients in their 20s and 30s who have dry, achy, light-sensitive eyes. They're not old. They're just running on empty. Their liver and their blood aren't being replenished because they're staring at screens all day, sleeping poorly, and eating highly processed food. There's an old saying, prolonged use of the eyes consumes the blood. That means every time you focus intensely on a screen for hours, you're draining your body's resources. So drinking cassia seed tea isn't just about cooling things down, it's also about giving your body a break and replenishing what you've used. So here's what I want you to remember. If your eyes feel tired, look at your liver, look at your sleep, look at your stress. Don't just assume you need a more expensive pair of glasses or a fancier brand of eye drops. Start with the basics, get better sleep, eat a more balanced diet, and maybe swap out that fourth cup of coffee for a warm, comforting cup of cassia seed tea. All right, let's get into the practical side of things. How do you actually use this? Is it medicine? Is it tea? And the biggest question I get, raw or roasted? First, let's talk about the taste. If you've never tried it, cassia seed tea has a really pleasant roasted flavor. It reminds a lot of people of barley tea or roasted grain tea. And then there's that subtle salty note that we talked about. It's very smooth, very drinkable. I've had patients tell me, Doc, this doesn't taste like medicine at all. I could drink this every day. And honestly, that's one of the best things about it. It's not bitter like some other herbs. It's not harsh. It's gentle and approachable, which makes it great for everyday use. Now, the big decision, raw or roasted. Raw cassia seeds are stronger and cooler in nature. They're more powerful at clearing heat and promoting bowel movements. If you have a lot of heat, think really red, painful eyes, headaches, and stubborn constipation. Raw seeds might be a good choice. They're going to work faster and more intensely. But for most people, especially if you tend to run cold or if you have a sensitive stomach, roasted cassia seeds are the way to go. Roasting takes the edge off the cooling property. It makes the seeds much more gentle on your digestive system. You still get all the eye and liver benefits, but without the risk of upsetting your stomach. There's a saying in traditional medicine, most cold herbs, when roasted, lose their coldness. It's the same idea as cooking vegetables. Raw spinach is more cooling, but cooked spinach is easier to digest. So for long-term, everyday use, roasted cassia seeds are almost always the safer, smarter choice. And here's where it gets really fun. You don't have to drink it plain. You can blend it with other herbs to make a customized tea that fits your specific needs. One of my absolute favorite combinations is cassia seeds, chrysanthemum flowers, and goji berries. I call them the three musketeers of eye health, and honestly, they're a powerhouse. Chrysanthemum clears heat from the liver and eyes. Goji berries nourish the blood and support the liver and kidneys. And cassia seeds clear and move things along. One clears, one nourishes, one promotes flow. They work together beautifully. If you're someone who works in an office, stares at a screen all day, and drinks a lot of coffee, this is a fantastic tea blend for you. It's cooling, calming, and supportive. It might even help with that afternoon slump without giving you the jitters. There's actually a very famous classic formula called Qiju Di Huangwan. It's been used for centuries for people with blurry vision and tired eyes due to liver and kidney weakness. The formula has goji berries, chrysanthemum, and some heavier nourishing herbs, but later practitioners started adding cassia seeds to that formula to give it more clearing power. So you get both the nourishment and the cleansing in one package. That's exactly the kind of balance that modern lifestyles need. There's also a formula called Ming Mu Di Huang Wan, which literally means bright eyes Romania pill. And guess what's in it? You got it. Cassia seeds. Almost every classic formula for eye health includes cassia seeds. That's not a coincidence. That's centuries of clinical experience validating the same thing. Let me give you another real patient story. This time, it was a software engineer in his late 30s. His job required him to stare at code for 10, 12, sometimes 14 hours a day. He came to me really worried because his vision had gotten so blurry that he was having trouble distinguishing colors. He told me, "Doc, I'm scared I'm going to lose my job if I can't see my screen properly." I told him, "Let's take a step back. Let's swap that coffee on your desk for a tea blend of cassia seeds, chrysanthemum and goji, and let's also make sure you're taking a 5-minute break every hour to look away from the screen. That's non-negotiable." He followed that plan for a month. When he came back for a follow-up, the difference was night and day. He said his eyes felt so much better and he was sleeping more soundly at night than he had in years. He didn't expect that. He was just hoping for clearer vision, but he got better sleep too. That's because when liver fire goes down, your nervous system calms down and sleep improves naturally. Another patient of mine was a woman in her early 50s. She had been dealing with chronic constipation for years. Her skin looked dull, her eyes were always dry and achy, and she felt generally unwell. She assumed it was hormonal because of her age, so she spent a lot of money on calcium supplements and vitamins, but nothing really helped. I gave her a simple recommendation: roasted cassia seeds with a little bit of hemp seed, brewed as tea, and within 10 days she was regular. She also noticed that her eyes felt less dry and her skin looked brighter. She told me, "Doc, I haven't felt this good in years." That's the beauty of addressing the whole body. When you clear the bowels, the eyes get clearer too. There's an old saying, when the intestines are clear, the eyes are bright, and it's true. I often joke with my patients that cassia seed tea is our traditional version of a functional energy drink. You can go to Starbucks and get a double shot espresso to wake yourself up, but that just amps up your nervous system, increases your heart rate, and dries out your eyes. Or you can have a cup of cassia tea. It cools you down, balances you out, and gives you sustainable energy without the crash. In a world that's constantly telling you to go faster, drink more coffee, and push harder, cassia tea invites you to slow down. That's a big reason why I recommend it. Most of us don't need more stimulation. We need more balance. Now, I want to make sure I mention something really important. I've had patients who hear me talk about cassia seeds and immediately go out and buy a huge bag. They come home, they throw a huge handful into a pot, and they brew a massive batch. They're thinking, if I drink a ton of this, I'll get results faster. And then they spend the entire night in the bathroom and they come back to my office looking exhausted and they say, "Doc, you didn't tell me you would do that." And I tell them, "I did tell you, you just didn't listen." So please, I'm going to say this one more time. A small pinch is all you need, about 6 to 10 grams. That's it. Treat it like a pleasant tea, not a medicine, and don't turn it into a race. You're not competing with anyone. You're just taking care of yourself. All right, let's zoom out for a second and talk about the history. Because when I recommend something to my patients, I like them to know that this isn't some trendy TikTok fad. It's been used for thousands of years. The Shen Nong Ben Cao Jing, which was written around the Han Dynasty, clearly states that cassia seeds are sweet, neutral, and non-toxic. It says they are used for green blindness, which is an old term for serious eye conditions like glaucoma and cataracts. And it says that prolonged use benefits the eyesight. That's pretty incredible. When you think about it, 2,000 years ago, doctors were already recommending cassia seeds for serious eye problems. They knew it wasn't a quick fix. They knew it was something you had to use consistently over time to see real benefits. Then in the Ming Dynasty, the famous physician Li Shizhen wrote a massive medical encyclopedia called the Compendium of Materia Medica. In it, he described cassia seeds as useful for red, painful eyes, dizziness, and constipation. Those three things, eyes, head, and bowels, all in the same sentence. And he linked them all to the liver. That was his insight. He saw the connections. Other classic texts mention using cassia seed decoctions to wash the eyes. The famous physician Sunday Simiao included it in his formulas for supporting liver health and vision. There are ancient formulas like cassia seed pill for blurry vision and clear liver brighten eyes decoction that combine cassia seeds with other herbs. So this isn't just folklore. This is clinical medicine that's been passed down through generations. Let me share one more patient story. I had a man in his late 50s who came to me with really red eyes and terrible dizziness. He was scared he was going blind. I checked his pulse and his tongue. Both showed signs of significant liver fire. I told him, "This is not an eye problem. This is a liver problem. The eyes are just showing you what's going on inside." I gave him a combination of chrysanthemum, gardenia, cassia seeds, and some Romania to cool the blood. In 3 days, his redness and dizziness were gone. He told me, "Doc, I feel like a new person." And I told him, "Your liver is just breathing a sigh of relief." I also had a young student who was studying for his board exams. He was so stressed and sleep deprived that his vision got blurry. I recommended roasted cassia seed tea with goji berries, and after 2 weeks, he told me he could read the blackboard clearly again. That's prolonged use benefits the eyesight in action. Now, I know some of you are scientifically minded. You want to know what modern research says about this, and I appreciate that. I'm a doctor. I rely on evidence too. Modern pharmacology has actually studied cassia seeds and found that they contain compounds like amodin, cresophanol, and other anthraquinones. These are substances that have mild laxative effects and also show some anti-inflammatory and antioxidant activity. Some studies have suggested that cassia seeds may help support healthy blood pressure and cholesterol levels. So the modern science is actually aligning with the ancient wisdom. They're just using different words. I had a 35-year-old patient who was working crazy hours at a startup. He came to me with high blood pressure, dizziness, and constant dry eyes. His regular doctor had put him on blood pressure medication, which was appropriate, but he still felt awful. I told him, your liver is screaming for attention. We worked on getting him to bed earlier, reducing his caffeine, and added a tea blend of chrysanthemum, goji, and cassia seeds. 3 days later, he felt clearer headed, his eyes felt better, and his blood pressure was actually more stable. Now, let me be very clear about something. Cassia seeds are not a cure-all. They are not for everyone, and I need to be really responsible about this. First, if you are pregnant, I would recommend that you avoid cassia seed tea because it has a mild laxative effect. It could potentially stimulate your digestive system in a way that we want to avoid during pregnancy. It's not worth the risk. Second, if you are someone who runs cold, you're always cold, your hands and feet are often chilly, and you have loose stools, cassia seeds are not for you. You're already on the cooler side, and the cooling nature of cassia seeds will make you feel worse. You'll end up in the bathroom more often, and you'll feel more drained. Third, as I've already said, keep the dose reasonable. 6 to 10 grams a day. That's it. More is not better. It's just more, and more of a good thing can quickly turn into a bad thing. I also want to remind everyone that traditional medicine is not about treating symptoms in isolation. It's about seeing the whole person. The reason cassia seeds are so valuable is that they connect three seemingly unrelated parts of the body, the eyes, the liver, and the digestive system. They remind us that we are one unit. When your liver is balanced, your eyes are clear, your digestion is smooth, and you feel better overall. So here's my final thought for today. The next time you think about buying a fancy bottle of eye drops, maybe try making yourself a simple cup of cassia seed tea first. It's affordable, it's easy, and it's been helping people for thousands of years. That's not a trend. That's a tradition. Start small, be consistent, listen to your body, and don't expect overnight miracles. Health is a marathon, not a sprint. I'm going to wrap it up here. If you're dealing with any health concerns, please schedule a visit with your primary care doctor. I'm here to help you understand the science, not replace professional medical advice. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one.